All right. Give it to me. Give it to me, Lidakor. All right, we're in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1 in this series of Golden League. We are in the winners semi-final. Spawning in on the north side of the map, in the color blue, playing as the French, we've got MarineLorD.
And on the other side, it is LucifroN, seed number 7 versus seed number 2 over here. LucifroN, definitely the underdog of this best of 5 here, but he's playing the Rus, a civilization that is just super powerful recently in this new meta with the boars. Courtesy of B, sort of pioneering that playstyle. Looks like we're going to have 2 wolves aggroed right away by LucifroN. And really, we're going to be looking at 2 things here in Dark Age. Number 1, the bounty count for LucifroN. Number 2, those boar spots.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. And speaking of those boar spots, they don't look too bad, honestly. These boar spots probably are about as good as you could ask for. You can see that they're out towards the edges, but they're not too close to the edge. They're still in a fair amount. So let's look to see exactly how the opening for LucifroN happens. You can see he's already out here killing deer, doing his thing. I'm expecting we've got a 2-scout opening from MarineLorD on the opposite side, but from LucifroN, we can see it's probably a 3-scout opening. Indeed, it is a 3-scout opening from him.
Indeed. So it looks like he's at 155 right now. As you pointed out, the boars are sort of closer to the middle of the map over here, which is an important factor because not only are you using that as sort of your primary source of food with the Rus, you also want to establish your proxy base over there. So obviously the closer it is to the middle of the map, the better for a Rus player. And well, those are still outlying on the edges of the map, but not super close to it. So those are still something, especially the one to the right side of LucifroN's base that he could use for a proxy base potentially. We'll have to see about that one. Currently at 205 with the bounty. Looks like MarineLorD got 3 wolves out there for him. LucifroN trying to snipe one, but thinks twice.
Look how cheeky he is coming in underneath the town center. He's like, hey, come on, give me one of those wolves. I see what you got there. But yeah, going to be coming up empty-handed. But what a great start for his game already. 210 bounty already on the clock at 2 minutes into the game. He'll be very happy with that one. But obviously be able to clean up those boars for an extra couple of bounty. And we do see an early wheelbarrow coming in for LucifroN. So looking to try and take a bit of an economic advantage. We can see he's got an idle villager standing there. The villager comes out to meet the sheep. Well, I didn't see where it murdered it, but it looked pretty close. Looked pretty close together.
It's not going to be a terrible spot to murder at him, but indeed the villager just decided to go for the only sheep that he was not supposed to kill. As you pointed out, it's 3 scouts for LucifroN, so you gotta wonder what exactly his follow-up is with this, because professional scouts is not something that you like to do nowadays with the Rus, or at least not on if you go for the boar. And with 3 scouts, that's a little too few as well for professional scouts, so you gotta wonder if LucifroN is going to skip that. I would think yes. On the other side, of course, MarineLorD is going up the feudal age, LucifroN gets that wolf, so he should be conveniently reaching that 250 bounty without any major issues.
Yeah, this is quite interesting to see the way that MarineLorD is looking to place his School of Cavalry right on the front line as well, so indicating he might be a little bit aggressive in this situation. We've got the Golden Gate going down now for LucifroN as well in the front of his base. Has reached 245 bounty, so still got a little bit to go before he hits that threshold of the tier 2. And we do see an early wheelbarrow coming in for him as well. So both players not dropping an economic beat. They are going to be double timing it towards that wheelbarrow.
Exactly, that's a very important economical upgrade. So it's not an upgrade that you can really afford to skip nowadays. It's more like when do you get it? So the sooner the better, I guess. There is the early wooden fortress out there for LucifroN. That is an indication that he doesn't want to go for the board super early though, because he's dropping that fortress right next to his wood line instead of going for the boars. Scouts are now moving in, harassing the villagers on that School of Cavalry. It's actually pretty far away here. You can't attack the gold miners according to tournament rules in Dark Age because, well, right now we do have a bit of a game bug where the scouts, if they hit the villagers that are working, they are going to stop the villagers from gathering. And since the scout attack rate has been buffed, and there is the villagers to the boar, so I guess, is he gonna have enough wood for that tower right away? I don't think so.
I don't know, but MarineLorD is going to do what MarineLorD does. He aggroes the boar, takes it away, and so he's just going to run it around in circles here, trying
can't find
to just...
it. I don't think he can
he's going to make it... He's going to make it very difficult here because he's going to be able to pull the aggro. Let's see how he looks to do it. You can see all the villagers coming in, looking to get into melee. The scout going to be trying to interrupt and do some damage here. Third scout coming out. He's going to be able to find a villager here, managing to take it out. It looks like it's going to be getting down to 1 health. Look at him do the ring around the rosy. Does go down, so he manages to get 1 villager down from that boar. So not a terrible trade there for MarineLorD.
Not at all. I mean, that's the best thing that he could have accomplished over here. Now, LucifroN is getting close to that wooden fortress, but the first knight is also getting close here for MarineLorD, and you really gotta wonder if that tower is going to be finished in time. Normally, you delay the wooden fortress on your wood line for the sake of dropping it immediately on your hunt. But in this scenario, LucifroN didn't do that. He dropped his tower back at home first, and he delayed his tower on his hunt. I think it's going to be just in time before the night arrives. So he gets away here, but that was quite close, closer than what it should have been.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It definitely was quite close. And you can see the knight out here just playing with fire, or at least these villagers are playing with fire. The knight's playing with a fire extinguisher, it seems, because he is the antidote to these villagers. But yeah, I mean, at this point, MarineLorD looking to go up against a very tough defense. 2 wooden fortresses out already at this point here for LucifroN. So he's looking very strong. And by the same token, I mean, MarineLorD behind this, he's adding more knights. So what direction does he look to go to with regard to his tech? Is he going to potentially set himself up for a professional scouts? Is he just going to be looking to get into any of those tier 1 techs? Or does he go more of a militaristic route? Does he potentially think about adding in some archers shortly?
It's tricky, because if you add in archers, your problem is that you still can't really contest this tower position, unless you get siege engineers as well. I think he could actually benefit more from a second stable and just go mass knights. Potentially even add a couple of scouts so he can torch down that tower. That wooden fortress has a lot of HP, but especially if he mixes in a couple of scouts as well, which do have good torch damage, he could still burn that down. I think the key to victory, or at least the first step towards victory here for MarineLorD, is somehow denying that boar, because right now, LucifroN is getting a ton of food from there, and so far it has pretty much been uncontested for MarineLorD. He took down 1 villager, but that was basically it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And now we're going to see that knight beginning to move across the map. Stable going to get scouted out here as well by MarineLorD. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a barracks coming down in response to that for him. But professional scouts is coming in. And indeed, it looks like it's going to be an archery range, a double archery range coming down, despite seeing that stable. So he definitely likes his chances in this situation. Going heavy on the archers. An interesting adaptation. What's his thinking behind this? Why does he scout the stable and yet still go for the double range?
Ooh, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, so we're going to have to see what exactly he has on his mind. The more interesting thing is that LucifroN is placing the archer ranges back at home, so he's not going to use that proxy base for that. Obviously, it's a little bit to the right side, so it would still take a lot of time for those archers to get to the base of MarineLorD, but you just gotta wonder, and that is a second stable as well, so MarineLorD is gonna go full feudal. We pretty much got the answer for it. He's expecting a lot of spears here from LucifroN, so he's probably saying, okay, I can match your knight numbers, and I just want to make sure that you don't have enough spearmen to fight my knights off.
Maybe that's just the thought process at this level. It's because we actually see LucifroN doing the same thing. He's adding in double archery range at this point in time. Maybe the thought process is, well, micro is so good at this level that even if I add in spears, they're just going to get picked off by my enemy's archers anyway. So what's the point in even making spears? I might as well just make archers.
Indeed, that is also a great point that you have over here, because as you pointed out, it's just so easy to pick off those spearmen, and look at that, here comes the first knight over here. Not a single villager gets taken down so far though, but those archers also little exposed. Knight now moves in for MarineLorD though, so he's going to repel this one. Gotta love how the scouts are being used to tank the damage though.
Yeah, he's doing a great job there, just doing a bit of a ring around the rosy. Manages to get both of those archers out, so be happy. He didn't lose any villagers, at least not that I saw, but you guys know how good my vision is. I'm legally blind. But yeah, still not losing anything at this stage, so doing a pretty decent job of keeping everything alive. And second town center coming in from LucifroN.
I love it.
Yeah, I love this as well. I think it's such a good adaptation in this situation.
Yeah, the only thing I could criticize a little bit maybe is that this town center is only on the berries, and that's probably not the best spot for it. I guess the idea was that he wants to keep his base compact and he wants to conceal that town center as long as possible, but maybe, just maybe, if it was either closer to the wood line or closer to his goal, it would have been slightly better, because the berries is not going to be a significant factor. At least it shouldn't really be a significant factor for a Roost player still taking the board. But it's not a terrible town center, and it's a great idea to add it, I think. But I think it could have been placed slightly differently.
Yeah, now we see a knight running in towards the military of his opponent. Just going to be looking to pick off some archers. Indeed, just picks off one archer, and now struggling to take out any other units. But we see some knights beginning to make their way around the wood line. He's heading in towards it. There's a bit of a concave in there, a little bit of a defensive action. But indeed, all those villagers do get inside. One of them does go down, unfortunately, losing its life. But with it, a whole bunch of wood. But now we see a knight moving out, and it's going to be a counterattack coming in. Scouts tanking up the damage from that knight. And not paying attention, MarineLorD does manage to move back and action all over this map right now, Lidakor.
Yeah, a lot of these little knight fights over here. This is exactly what we would expect from this matchup over here. Both players having knights, they're using small groups of those to try and trade left and right. Right now, there is a 4-villager lead for MarineLorD, but the key thing is that LucifroN is still maintaining 7 villagers on that board, and he has a second town center, so he can slowly start cutting into that villager deficit. And I would be very surprised if MarineLorD knew about that second town center, and that's the real advantage that LucifroN is having over here. If MarineLorD has no idea about that second TC, he might not play as aggressively as he should towards the base of LucifroN.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I don't think he realizes just yet, but he is going to be looking around himself towards that wood line now. He's going to be diving in towards the villagers. Hopefully we go back in time. Indeed we do. Villagers making their way inside that wooden fortress. He's got a very tight defense coming in here. And I don't think MarineLorD is still aware of this second town center.
Yeah, and that's a big thing right now, because you see, MarineLorD is poking and probing, but had he known that there's a second town center out there, he would probably be playing a little more aggressive, or potentially thinking about adding his own second town center. Looks like 1 villager was taken down on the board, because we're down to 6 in that tower only, so nice little move over there by MarineLorD. He's harassing that boar as best as he can. You see he's dropping what will be stable number 3 now, if you also include the School of Cavalry. So he wants to prolong this field age engagement as much as possible, but I think LucifroN at this point is fine with this one, because he's slowly building up that economy, and you see now the villager difference is only 2 between the 2 players.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things to note, though, is MarineLorD is slowly losing his villager lead. He's on 44, 43 for LucifroN at this point in time. So that's going to continue to build up. So obviously LucifroN sitting on those 2 town centers, it's always going to allow him to propel a little bit ahead. But now look at the knight numbers beginning to build up for MarineLorD. And this is one of the things to note. I mean, we've seen neither player go for spearmen in this position. You can see both of them are only going for archers. But the consequence of going for only archers in this situation is that you've got no spears. And by the same token, I mean, we look at MarineLorD. He's got 5 archers out at this point, but he showed the enemy 2 archery ranges, which to me indicates him saying like, hey, I'm making a lot of archers, so you should make a lot of archers as well. And then he does that. He's got 21 archers out now, but look at the knight numbers coming out for MarineLorD. It's huge. And now he's going to actually turn his attention towards this wooden fortress, and it's not too long for this world, I suspect.
Yeah, he has achieved that critical mass over here, and this is exactly one of the things that he can do here. Like, he can't deny that board, but one thing that he can do is kill those villagers inside, and that is 6 villagers that he could take down over here. The wooden fortress, a tanky building, though, still withstanding those attacks, and the knights are now approaching here for LucifroN. The question is, how many of these knights will be taken down here from MarineLorD, or whether he even takes this fight. I think he's decided to take this fight here, because he knows that he's got the brute force numbers, and as you said, archers are nice, but you don't have spears right now for LucifroN to fight off those knights with.
Yeah, and we do see the +1 ranged armor also coming in, meaning it's going to be a lot of damage that is prevented from these archers. At the same time, LucifroN with the +1 range attack, but the wooden fortress does go down. Villagers going to be trying to make it out of there. A couple of them do get slaughtered in the mix. You can see 2, 3 of them going down, 4 of them going down now. A lot of villagers going down. It's not looking pretty. There's the final villager actually being taken out, and it is absolute trauma coming through for LucifroN. He is down to 47 villagers, but keep in mind with that second town center behind, he's going to be A-okay. So he's eventually just going to be able to catch up to MarineLorD, but at the same time, MarineLorD continues to move towards this larger military mass. We can see just how many units he's got in queue. Oh, that's very, very cheeky, isn't it? There's nothing. Look at that. He's invested 275 wood on this area, and now he loses it all. This is just terrible damage.
Oh yeah, that's so sad. And as you pointed out, LucifroN has the 2 TCs, but you get the feel that he's just in a pain right now, although that scout might actually get taken down by the villager, because that scout was like 7 HP. No one really cares about that as the knights are coming into the wood line though, and this is where things are getting a lot uglier. Fights taken left and right here by LucifroN, and he doesn't really have the forces to repel this knight aggression inside his base, because he's just too busy fighting off those forces in the middle. Can he get that scout? I think he can.
Yeah, a lot of units lost right here. You can see MarineLorD still behind by about 3 villages, but I suspect, or in front rather, by about 3 villages. But I suspect he has uncovered this second town center. But look at the mass of knights that are building up here for MarineLorD. And you can see he started to add more archers because he knows his enemy is going to be making some spearmen. And it makes a lot of sense in this situation for him to be doing that. But I got to say, this is an actual big brain move coming out from MarineLorD. The fact that he shows double archery ranges, but he doesn't actually make archers out of them. It's super smart.
Oh, what's also smart is using that big ball of knights, and that's the concern here for LucifroN. We're looking at 24 French Royal Knights that can also heal up. There's only 5 for LucifroN here. Looks like LucifroN will have to evacuate that forward base, but there's still 6 villagers sort of stranded in that tower. And plain and simple, LucifroN doesn't have the army to fight this one right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We take a look at the military populations, and you can see it's 42 against 39, but so much of these military counts are made up of knights. And you can see now the steamroller begins, the knights just taking over the game. Going to be able to pick up a lot of villages here. It's not looking pretty for LucifroN. He's going to be taking down a lot of these villages. MarineLorD looking absolutely impeccable. Knight's going to be coming out as single spearmen, looking to try and do some damage, but at the same time, more villages going down on the back line. And LucifroN is losing a huge amount of units here. More spears going to be coming out, but the archer's going to be able to pick them off almost immediately. They barely get a tap in or two. Lidakor, this is not going to end up pretty for LucifroN, I suspect.
Not at all, and you see the knights are gone, the spearmen are gone. Slowly but sure those reinforcements are trickling in here for LucifroN, but he simply doesn't have the army to fight this one. I feel like even without the archers being there for MarineLorD, he could take this fight. Only 2 spearmen in the front lines of LucifroN. LucifroN is in full retreat, and he has lost so much eco here. Look at that, he's 42 villagers as opposed to 59. Even if he can somehow survive this wave, I feel like the next wave could finish him off. And look at the knight numbers for MarineLorD, still at 21. He basically didn't lose. Well, he lost knights on the battlefield, obviously, but his overall numbers didn't decrease.
Yeah, I just got to say, I'm so impressive with MarineLorD's macro play and his just understanding of what LucifroN would do. I remember I asked Mister, you know, how do you beat MarineLorD? And he says, you got to show him a whole bunch of buildings, but make no units out of them. And I can't help but feel like MarineLorD has actually taken that advice and then just sort of applied it to this game. It's such a smart move. I asked the question earlier, you know, MarineLorD he has specifically seen LucifroN open with a stable, and he's now adding in archery ranges, and he shows those archery ranges to his enemy. He's like, hey, I'm making archery ranges, bro. Like, you know, prepare yourself for my archers. But then he only makes 5 archers out of them and then just masses up knights. It's such a smart move. I can't fathom just how big this guy's brain is.
Exactly, that's a big brain move out there, because obviously if he's making archers, LucifroN is sitting there like saying, okay, you want to play archer wars? Sure thing. I'm playing the ruse, I will just win that. But then suddenly 20 knights show up and LucifroN is just stuck in there with a bunch of archers that basically have no combat value here, really. They're low mobility, they can't kill the knights, and there is nothing else that they can really kill from MarineLorD. As he just now reaches Castle Age, he's getting the Veteran Royal Knight. He also went for the second war out there on the map. Full control right now for MarineLorD in this game.
Yeah, it's really not looking pretty right now for LucifroN. MarineLorD reaching that Castle Age. All the upgrades coming through for him. You can see the Knights just absolutely destroying the archers, and good game gets called, ladies and gentlemen. We head through to game number 2 in this series with MarineLorD taking the first one by complete and utter storm.
And as you pointed out, part of that was the mind games that were played by MarineLorD. MarineLorD had a pretty good clue at what LucifroN wants to do, and he basically forced him to do the things that he is not supposed to do against the French. Because really, against the French, you don't want to play that mass archer horde. But, you know, that mind game that, indeed, as you said, MarineLorD is showing the archer ranges, and LucifroN is saying, okay, he's going to play archers, I can't play spearmen. That's the other component as well, that not only does he have to fight the archers, LucifroN is basically like, okay, I can't play spearmen because he has double archer ranges. So he just plays archer range, but then MarineLorD shows up with a bunch of cavalry, and then just disintegrates that eco, really.
And that's exactly it. He baited him into that whole concept of, if you want to go Archer Wars, that's fine. I'm the Rus. I love to play Archer Wars. And then MarineLorD's like, Kek W. In his classic MarineLorD voice, he does the Kek W, and then he just makes a whole bunch of knights. So very smart from him there.